The movie starts in 2135. We see that the Earth's population was at its
named
peak.
Elysium was created, carrying many people who had to travel to another planet. But then, a message was received stating that all the people on Earth had died and only the inhabitants of Elysium were still alive.
After a while, we are shown that a man opens his eyes in his sleeping chamber, removes his mask,
and was screaming loudly, but no one hears his voice. In the chamber in which he was sleeping, his name was written on it. Then he slowly comes to his senses.
He takes out the wires from his body but did not remember anything that where he came from and who he is.
There was no light there either.
He takes a flashlight and goes to his companion's chamber. He tries to open his sleeping chamber but it does not open either. He tries to go to the captain's chamber in his uniform but it was also not opening. Then he hits the door hard with a rod.
Then suddenly the electricity became fast and his companion, whose name was Peyton, his sleeping chamber also opens, but both did not remember anything that who they are and why they were in the sleeping chamber. What is their mission?
Now they both try to send their message.
There was something written on his hand like the number 5, meaning he was of group. They don't know where his other companions were.
Then they hear some sounds from upstairs. Bauer follows that sound and goes up, while Peyton was looking at him in the computer.
But as he goes up, his breath was stopping. When he turns on the light to check the board, his third companion's dead body was lying there. Looking at it, it seemed that he would have died here many years ago.
Bauer falls down in fear of him and had come to the third department.
There were also many sleeping chambers there, but he sees a girl there. When he was turning on the light on her, the girl hides.
Pan was also not getting the signal of Bauer and he also sees a man there,
looking at whom it seemed that he would have killed himself many years ago.
Suddenly, the girl comes and attacks the board and tells him to take off his shoes.
But when she was doing this, they both hear a scary voice.
That girl had run away in fear and Bauer sees strange creatures there but he hides seeing them.
And he also stops his breath. That creature was very dangerous and was growling loudly.
Then the signals are also found and Peyton loudly calls Bauer but the creature also hears the same voice and attacks Bauer but he somehow escaped from it. He says to his companion Peyton that we have to call the rescue team soon. He says that this NCM ship was not designed to be taken back. In this, 60,000 people had left to go to a planet. Now it will stop there. Bauer remembers some old memories when he was young and was watching TV with his parents, in which it was being told that people will be sent to a planet where trees, plants, air, water and everything is good, and they will be sent to the Elysium ship.
Then he also remembers his wife.
He thinks that if she is also on this ship, then I will have to save her.
But Peyton,
who was in contact with him, asks to calm down. We will have to save this ship first.
We will do the rest later.
Bauer goes to start the ship's reactor. He was scared and thinks that something might happen to him. That's why he tries to focus on other things with fear.
Meanwhile, he sees a man who had come to his senses a long time ago. Bauer looks at his arm. Number 6 was written on it.
It is understood that this group is a man of 6. That man applies some liquid on his body so that the creature cannot smell him.
He hears the creature's voice and they both try to hide. At that time, the board was about to fall down from there, but he catches a rope and his transmitter was also broken. Because of this, he was in contact with Peyton. Their contact was also over now.
The creatures attack him again, but a man comes and saves Bauer and numbers were also written on his hand,
from which it is known that he was from some other department.
They both now go to the food area where the girl who had attacked Bauer earlier attacks them again.
Here again they heard the creature's voice. This girl's name was Nadia.
She says that the reactor room is dangerous and whoever went there never came back alive. Bauer says whatever it is, but we have to take the risk and we have to save our spaceship.
Nadia was also believing Bauer. She tells that I had come out of my sleeping chamber 6 months ago. Nadia places her hand and a door opens. They go to a bright room. Nadia says that I used to live with my friends in this area. I had collected the cells of many plants and animals so that we can spend a good life on the planet we are going.
Bauer remembers that it will take them 123 years to reach that planet. Nadia gives him something to eat and says that it has been 8 years since we have gone on our journey.
When Peyton goes ahead, he finds a man whose body was strange and sticky and he was not even able to speak.
But he tells him while shivering that I am of Group 6 and this happened to me after going to Captain Bridge.
Captain Bridge was the same place where the reactor of this spaceship was.
Now here we see Bauer and his companions reach another room where all the sleeping chambers were empty. Nadia says that I think that even among them, humans have woken up before time who have now become creatures. When they go a little further, they fall into a vent where there was a lot of mud. Anyway, Bauer saves Nadia and himself, but here too the creatures had come and attacked them. These three attacked them while escaping from them.
The creature was trying to attack them with its pointed thorns, but they escaped from here.
On the other hand, a man comes to Peyton who tells him that the captain of my team had a bad Pandorum fit. Actually, Pandorum is such a disease that only astronauts
They
have.
get strange fits and their emotions enhance along with this. New emotions are also produced in them. He says that he was going to kill me, but somehow I escaped. Peyton was not believing the words of that man.
Bauer's companions hide at a place and there they find a man who makes food for them.
He had also woken up a while ago from his sleeping chamber.
Here Nadia tells everyone that these creatures were also humans before, but they woke up before time.
The medicines used to make them sleep had the opposite effect on them, and because of this effect, they became creatures.
There the man who was with Peyton says that I think that you too may have Pandorum.
The man who had fed Bauer and Nadia was also telling them the same thing. He tells Peyton that for many years everyone was in the sleeping chamber and slept for many years. Our captains kept changing, but when it was the turn of Group 4, then we got the last message from the ground
that everything is over on the ground, and here in the entire solar system humans are only alive on the Elysium
Hearing
ship.
this, there was a ruckus in the spaceship and I killed all my companions. After a while I got bored and then I started waking people up and bringing them out of the chambers. But soon I got bored of these things too, and then I went to my sleeping chamber. The humans had woken up before time became creatures from which the whole ship was filled with evil. Bauer and his companions were also unconscious because the man who had fed them had mixed the medicine of unconsciousness. Peyton was also suffering from Pandorum. Bauer and his companions came to their senses. They were hanging upside down.
The man who had fed the says, I will kill you, but Bauer says that if you kill us like this, we can never repair the spaceship, by which we will all get stuck here and die. You will also
Hearing
die.
This, the man leaves Bauer and his companions and they move ahead.
Bauer contacts Peyton and says that we have to run the reactor soon because we have only 47 minutes.
Now they were moving towards their destination. As they go ahead, they find a baby creature screaming and calling its parents. Because now those creatures had also started giving birth to children.
The man who was with Peyton says that your companion Bauer can never start the reactor,
because when he was in the sleeping chamber, he lost all his skills.
Peyton says to that man that you keep quiet, soon Bauer will run the reactor.
When Bohr was going with his companions, they see a lot of chambers there which were all empty.
Means one of them came out before time.
There were a lot of creatures who were feeling the electricity rays and were sleeping comfortably. Then suddenly a creature wakes up, but later it fell asleep. Bauer was slowly moving forward to run the reactor. Then the bridge suddenly breaks on which Bauer was walking and falls in the middle of the creature. He wraps the creature's skin around his body so that those creatures do not get the fragrance of humans. But by mistake, the man who was showing the way to Bauer, his light falls in the middle of the creatures. All the creatures were awake. Bauer reached the reactor soon and turns on the reactor. The man who was showing the way to Bauer, who was his companion, attacks those creatures with his spear. All the creatures become calm when the reactor was turned on. Bauer and Nadia were also running away from the creatures. When Bauer's third companion was moving forward attacking the creatures, a baby creature came in front of him, who was looking at him with a lot of innocence but suddenly attacked and cuts his neck. The man who was with Peyton was trying to kill him with his gun, but then suddenly their bodies start to join. And suddenly that man disappeared who told the whole story to Peyton. The man who fed Bauer and his companions with the medicine of unconsciousness wanted to tell something to Peyton, but Peyton also shoots and kills him. Bauer and Nadia also came there. Peyton sits on the chair of the captain who was saying that I am not Peyton. When Bauer hears this, he goes near him and asks while pointing a gun, "Who are you?" He says, "I am the captain who got the last message from the ground and I have turned all the humans creatures here. And my work has been going on for 20 years, but then I got bored and went back to my sleeping pot. Not mine, but your friend, Captain Peyton's." He tells Captain Bauer that we should accept our fear and opens a door from above. When Nadia looks up, she understands that they had already reached the planet that is in the middle of the sea. Then they come to know that they have been stuck in this spaceship for 923 years. It meant that those humans who have now become creatures, if they had woken up after 800 years, they would never have become creatures. After hearing all this, Bauer has a Pandorum fit and he accidentally fires his gun. This ruined one part of the ship and water starts coming inside the ship. Bauer took Nadia and went to a pot and turns it on. The pot that was going up, these two were not able to breathe because of the water. After a while, their pot had reached above the water and they see the ground after so many years. Along with them, the rest of the pots had also come above the water. The captain was stuck on the Elysium ship, means that the captain who was with Bauer as Peyton was not the real captain. In fact, he was another captain because Peyton had died long ago and that captain was doing all this as a captain. In the same way, Bauer and Nadia reach the water after so many years and see the ground and will start their life. Here this story ends.